when she was suffered whatever sort of weird illness that she had that she was healed by Our Lady for, except she wasn't doing the horrible things that I was doing. And so at that point began what I would call the lost years. As if you couldn't be more lost than what I had previously just been lost, here came the real lost years. But during this entire time, I still believed in Jesus. I still believed in divine mercy. I still loved St. Faustina. I still loved St. Gemma. Yet I was just totally gone from the church. I left completely and utterly. And I went on traveling the country for the next 4 or 5 years, living and working in corporate jobs, making lots of money to fuel the lifestyle I was living. And I remember I had 2 cars. I was single. I had a really good job. I was dating different girls all the time, living in Atlanta, living the high life. And I remember I would wake up on a Sunday morning and feel absolute, pure emptiness. Just complete emptiness. Gut-wrenching, just nothingness is the only way I can describe to you. Like a spiritual death, like there was nothing there. And this would happen to me every Sunday. Every Sunday I knew this was going to come, and every Sunday I would have the same feeling of complete emptiness. Slowly but surely, I remember one day I had a crucifix on my wall, because despite all this, I still kept the crucifix the priest had given me and blessed it in my dad's name. And one day I just looked up the crucifix and I said, Jesus, please help me. I don't know what that means, but I'm begging you, please help me. I thought this would make me happy. I thought all the alcohol, the drugs, the girls, the money, I really felt like this was going to make me happy, and I'm profoundly miserable, and I feel like you have the answer. And so as soon as I said that, I was literally transferred the next week to Pennsylvania from Atlanta to the middle of absolutely nowhere. And I think the Lord took this, if you give the Lord an inch, He will take a mile. And so He sent me out to the desert. And so my company moved me to nowhere in Pennsylvania. I moved out to the desert, so to speak, and there were no more girls. There was no more drugs. There was no more alcohol. There's no more anything. The only thing I had was a Mary statue and a rosary. And I began to pray this rosary. I looked up how to do it and began praying it every single day. And then I came across this video one day of this guy named John Paul II. I remember seeing him interacting with this girl, and this girl just was like crying. And I remember seeing this, and for some reason, I was like reduced to tears by this image of John Paul II. I don't believe it was John Paul. I really believe I saw Christ in John Paul, and I wanted whatever he had. And so the first thing I read about John Paul is that he said that Marian consecration changed his life. And for some reason, I had a complete and utter trust in John Paul. Knowing almost nothing about him, I knew I could trust this guy. And so if you guys remember the book 33 Days to Morning Glory with Marian consecration, I decided it was going to be one day to morning glory, and I read the entire book that day, and I consecrated myself with complete sincerity to Our Lady. And I really believe she took that very seriously. And I had been praying for Gemma's intercession throughout this time too. And of course, I went to Mass the next day and I saw this priest, and I said, I need to talk to this priest. I don't know why, but I need to talk to this priest. So I grabbed this priest and I said, Father, I think maybe I'm supposed to go to the seminary. And of course, as messed up as I am, you guys can imagine, like, the priest is like, whoa, okay, let's work on being Catholic. And he said, but I think I have something for you. With this look, like a light bulb went off, and he goes upstairs, and he comes down, and he hands me this first-class relic of St. Gemma Galgani from the Vatican, and gives it to me. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie The Truman Show, but I just started looking up like he's watching. Like, God is so real. He's watching. He knows and he cares. This was like the ultimate signal grace that I needed. I ran from that church with that relic the next day, or that day, just swimming in consolation that this God had not given up on me. And if you ever want to hear silence on the phone, call the senior vice president of sales of a company and tell him you are quitting to go become a priest. And total silence. And so I did, though. I literally quit my job. I gave notice, and I was all in. And so I moved back to Indiana, to my parents' house at this point. And again, prior to this, while I was in Pennsylvania, I started visiting a lot of different shrines as well. Our Lady Czestochowa Shrine and the Catherine Drexel Shrine, and the Padre Pio Shrine. And so I was basically living like a monk during that time. The Lord had to strip me of all of these things that I was using to cover up the hole in my heart, and He just left me there. And as soon as I had consecrated myself to Our Lady, when I began praying the Rosary again, all I can describe to you is like she was right there with me, praying, like going through the Rosary. It's the only way I can describe it to you. Her presence was so palpable, it was undeniable. And instantly consecrating myself to Our Lady seemed to change my life, and I was like, that John Paul guy knew what he was talking about. And so I went home, and I got the two things I previously did not have: catechesis and community. And so I began to get catechized, and then I began to get plugged into a young adult community, and it just changed everything for me. Nonetheless, I persevered in my call to the seminary, and for some reason Bishop Rhodes took a chance on me. But I do remember the last thing he said to me after meeting with me to go to the seminary. Having flunked out of multiple schools and just like awful record to my name, he just looked at me and said, "We need to get you some new transcripts, man." And that was it. But he still accepted me somehow, some way. And so I went off to Mount St. Mary's, and it was there that I received all the intellectual and spiritual formation that I never had. I encountered John Paul II and St. Faustina and all the church's tradition in such a powerful way while I was there. And my love for Mary continued to grow. I consecrated myself on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception in an even more formal way and signed the piece of paper and everything. And after I did that, we went on retreat. And I don't know if you've ever been on a 7-day silent retreat, but if you're an extrovert like me, it's absolutely awful, just awful. And so it was so terrible. I just remember going through what can only be experienced as sort of like a spiritual cleansing, a gut-wrenching cleansing. I got so much spiritual cleansing while I was in the seminary, and I had gone and made this retreat, and it felt like a torment. And at the end of the retreat, I decided to try and pray my rosary, and every Hail Mary I prayed felt like trying to throw a boulder. When I got to the end of it, though, I looked at this picture of Our Lady Undoer of Knots, and what I'm going to try and describe to you now is the best I can describe to you without doing any justice to what happened. As in an instant, I felt the undeniable, unbelievable presence of Mary right there with me. The only way I can describe it to you is if someone takes a picture in your face and the flash goes off and you look around and you see the glow, an afterglow. I did not see Our Lady, so please don't go around saying I had an apparition of Our Lady. I saw some sort of afterglow of a mantle. I remember water started pouring out of my face, and I remember I felt just a complete and utter stillness in my soul that I have never experienced in my life. A feeling of complete and absolute security of a mother just holding their child. That's exactly how I felt. Just complete peace and security and motherly love. And that experience left an indelible mark on me. I don't know if that's theologically correct, so actually don't quote me on that. It didn't leave an indelible mark, but it left an impression upon me that would never go away. Despite my continued failings and the other things I've done wrong, that never changed. And so from that day forward, I decided I was going to be a slave to the Immaculata. That left to my own, I was going to end up in hell. I'm being completely serious. Like, left to my own devices, I literally, as St. Augustine said, I burned for the satisfactions of hell. The reason I love Augustine so much is because he describes concupiscence and the desire for sin in a way that no one else is brave enough to do. He literally says, I burned for all the satisfactions of hell. That's exactly how I felt. I would have chose all of those things over anything else. The only hope for me was Our Lady pulling me out of the pit of hell, which is exactly what she did. So that next day, I asked for, it was the feast day of St. Jim Galgani, and I asked for a special grace for my vocation. I still don't 100% know what it meant, but I asked for a special grace for my call in life. The next day, I'm not going to try and bother to do any justice to it. I just can't describe to you what I experienced. A day-long experience of God that is just, these things, they're beyond words. All I know is once I started picked up John of the Cross, all of a sudden he made a lot more sense. And I can't describe to you what I experienced. All I know is, again, God in his mercy was showering me with consolation, pulling me out of a terrible life that I had been living. I did realize, however, that I was not called to the priesthood pretty quickly, but I knew that I was supposed to be in the seminary. And so I went on my summer assignment, and we were supposed to go to Poland for World Youth Day that year. I decided to go through my summer assignment, even though I felt like this is not it for me, and it was very difficult. At the very end, right when I decided, you know what, I'm definitely not called to the priesthood, this is undeniable, I met my wife the very next day. As soon as I saw her, I knew she was the one. And so I thank the Lord for using the seminary and other experiences to sort of purify me in that regard. From that day forward, I went to World Youth Day, and I went to the convent of St. Faustina, and that was where I received probably the next most incredible grace I could have received, which was sort of a confirmation of my calling to marriage and family. And I just remember praying at the sisters' convent with just a prayer of thanksgiving and joy of thank you, Lord. From that point forward, I began to live what you describe as just a steady, normal life of Catholic. I have not had any crazy experiences. It's kind of like a raging fire that's raging and then slowly kind of burns out. That was sort of the experience that I had with the chapel and all these really terrible things that were going on prior to that time. But however, I don't say these things to try and make you think, wow, this phenomenon is really cool. I say it because to bring out the reality that God is real, the devil is real, and his mercy is the only way. And I had one last experience, though, after I left the seminary, and I was studying theology for my bachelor's degree. I had one day where I remembered a demonic name that I can't remember to this day. I don't know what it was, but I remembered it then, and it was being pounded in my head, like someone shouting in your ear. And I remember this was pounding in my head while I was trying, like I couldn't understand what was going on. Then all of a sudden I felt a horrible burning across my neck, a burning sensation. And then my coworker came up to me and said, "What the heck happened to you?" And I said, "I don't know. My neck burns really bad though." And I went into the car and I saw that I had 3 scratches right across my neck. I later discovered, after some searching, that this is again another bizarre and bullying tactic of the devil, because that's exactly what he is. He's a coward and he's a bully. True strength is in receiving God's mercy. All those years of me trying to be the big man on campus, of trying to do everything my way, of trying to find my own way to happiness, that was true weakness. True strength is in facing the merciful Jesus and allowing him to transform us. That, I have found, has been the secret to my life at this point. And once I got married, got my degrees, and started having children, I experienced the beauty of marriage and family and its purifying fire as well. So any selfishness that you guys have, whoever's married here or has children knows that it is a sacrament, marriage, and that it will purify you and make you ready for heaven. Because all of a sudden I realized, you know what, I was a really selfish person. And it's not as though I wasn't doing bad things anymore, but now it's like I realized my need for his mercy didn't just stop. It was only just beginning. I was just now starting to live a stable life as a Catholic. To this day, I continue to pray for my father. I would ask you guys to also pray for him. His name is Lee Grzinski. It's still very difficult to discuss because it's a horrible regret of mine, of having ignored his phone call, but I believe he's been praying for me, and I also believe, again, in the end, that Jesus' divine mercy wins out, and that's what we're here to talk about. So thank you very much.
O salutaris hostia, quae celi pandis hostium, bella premunt hostilia,
you are. It's who you are, and I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You're a good, good Father. Tantum ergo sacramentum venerebur celui et antiquum tacumentum novo cedum ritui preste his holy name. Blessed be Jesus Christ, true God and true man. Blessed be the name of Jesus. Blessed be his most sacred heart. Blessed be his most precious blood. Blessed be Jesus in the most holy sacrament of the altar. Blessed be the Holy Spirit, the Paraclete. Blessed be the great Mother of God, Mary most holy. Blessed be her holy and immaculate conception. Blessed be her glorious assumption. Blessed be the name of Mary, Virgin and Mother. Blessed be Saint Joseph, her most chaste spouse. Blessed be God and his angels and his saints.
May the heart of Jesus in the most blessed sacrament be praised, adored, and loved with grateful affection at every moment in all the tabernacles of the world, even until the end of time. Amen.
Holy God, we praise thy name. Lord of all, we bow before thee. All on earth thy scepter claim. All in heaven above adore thee. Infinite thy vast domain. Everlasting is thy reign. Infinite thy vast domain. Everlasting is thy reign.
We thank our Lord for this evening with Him, for His presence, for giving us this opportunity to stay with Him in His presence, be present to Him as He is present to us. I want to thank Michael for his courageous testimony, a testimony showing us how powerful, but at the same time, very gentle and patient our Lord is with us. And this is basically what we call mercy. We thank Father Joseph Alex and Father David who were present for confessions here. We thank Nick, our sacristan, also Carlos, who is responsible for the online broadcast. Now, but before we will move to the lower level for the second part of our evening, I want to invite all of you, and even more, please bring your friends to our next evening with Merciful Jesus. Very special. February 22nd is, as you remember, the anniversary of the apparition of the image of Divine Mercy. February 22nd, 1931, exactly 23 years ago, next month, we will thank the Lord for the gift of this image of Divine Mercy and all the graces that He has been distributing through it. Sister Faustia will be at the entrance of the church. If you haven't picked your patron saint for this year, you will have this opportunity. Sister Faustia told me she would be at the door with the holy card, so you can pick or be picked by a patron saint. And I think this is it for now, so we will meet in a while. Please proceed to the lower level, and we will meet over there in a few minutes. God bless you.